And we'll just treat it like a stand-up for any management issues people want to bring. And then
we don't have a
think we're
we
gonna
have a stand-up at 12:30. I mean, we don't have any students right now. So do we have, or is anybody gonna be joining us at 12:30 for stand-up?
Nave just said she'll be on at 12:30.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, so we can start with, it will probably just meld into, I don't know if we'll fill the full 45 minutes before we get to the Teaching Tuesday. Actually, Bryce, I mentioned that person from the DOJ. They might try to join these meetings. I don't know if they're planning to be here today or not. I told them 1 o'clock. So we'll keep Teaching Tuesday at 1, but. All right, let's start just by going around and seeing what issues people have that are management-y that they want to talk about. And we can try to have another stand-up that's just about more stand-up-y stuff at 12:30. See how it goes. Michelle, you're first on my screen.
Cool. One thing I wanted to suggest is if we're going to do research into labels and other stuff like that, I was wondering, we might want to look into organization. If an organization can have labels that all its repositories have access to. So that is one thing. I am working on refactoring and simplifying on the API and the multi-user signature. And I'm playing around with generating a test. I don't know how a human is going to be able to work with the test that is generated. So I'm not sure exactly how useful it will be. I doubt.
You're saying, to clarify, like to auto-generate the test.
Right.
Okay.
Because there are very few pieces of code in life. I mean, React has done an amazing job. There is code that generates other code for sure. But tests especially, I think. What?
Barring the resources of Facebook.
Right. Barring the resources of Facebook, actually making something that a human doesn't have to touch is challenging. And so if a test doesn't pass for whatever thing that we've missed or whatever, then a human needs to be able to fix whatever's going wrong with the test itself if it's not something wrong with the interview. So I mean something wrong with the test itself. And I'm not sure that will be feasible with what I've been able to generate so far. Maybe though.
Okay. Yeah, any action points on there that you wanted, or just reporting back right
now? Well, I'd love other brains on it, but I know that's not how people do stuff, so that's okay. Like that's not a common working pattern. I understand that. But Blake, I might show you the code that I've been using to parse the variables object and see if you can take any inspiration from that.
Okay.
Oh, not Blake. I'm sorry, Bryce. Listen, you both start with B's, so I can't be held responsible for.
They both wear glasses.
Oh no.
And I think my partner would call you both blonde. So.
Both have
yeah,
headsets.
I know. Don't even. It's.
All right.
I know. I've had this discussion with him. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's
we'll have another chance if you want to, Michelle, a little bit later. So I'm gonna jump to Caroline.
So I'm trying to do nothing except focus on this Blinken obligors interviews. I finally have real SME input from Barb. So we worked on it 3 or 4 hours every day for the last week, except for Saturday or Friday and Sunday. So I'm a little, but I also worked with Michelle on learning about the automated testing, because I think this is in many ways that this interview is more complicated than 209A, or maybe affidavit of care. I don't know if I'd go this far. I don't think it's as bad as affidavit of care, but it's definitely, in terms of the permutations and different paths you can take, it's pretty complicated. So it'd be very cool to figure out how to do the automated testing. So we've got the automated testing set up, the structure for it, not the test, because the interview isn't ready to test yet, but at least when we're ready to test, we've got it all set up so that I'll work with Michelle. I'm hoping at the end of this week to start to put together some tests for it. So that's pretty exciting. And then Quentin, I asked you about the, what I'd like to do, and I can't remember what the problem was, but right now the repository is in my own. Why is it that I couldn't figure out? I could transfer ownership to Mass Legal Help, but then, so I could install it from Mass Legal Help, but I don't remember what the issue. Oh, I know, it was with the I think it was with the feedback form.
Oh, okay.
If I move the repository to Mass Legal Help, will the feedback form still work? Oh, because in the configuration I had to have that's right, you have to have a user, right?
So I realized I should make that maybe more flexible or in a different place, but maybe not. So in the feedback form YAML file, you have to say what organizations it can create issues on. And the reason for that is because I don't want, because it's a URL parameter, I don't want people to like abuse that and start spamming issues that come from, that look like they come from us.
Right.
So, but that's something you can edit in that file. So you should
So
make
in the YAML form, if I make the organization be Mass Legal Help.
There's a comment that explains what it is, where you have to
So
change.
that's where to look. So I can just change the YAML form, then change ownership to Mass Legal Help, and then go from there. Okay.
Then it should work. And I think I actually, depending on what sample you copied, it might already have Mass Legal Help in there as an allowed organization.
Okay, it may have, it sounds familiar, but I just wasn't sure, and I didn't want to screw everything up, so
Right.
that should be, because I'm at the point. So when I first started, of course, I didn't understand, not that I understand a whole lot about GitHub now, but I understand a lot more now than I did 3 years ago.
Right.
So that's what I want to do, is push it to Mass Legal Help, because I would like to have us install from the organization, like you do in Suffolk, is install from the organization.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's good. That makes sense.
And it's been on my, I sort of feel like I've got two jobs for Suffolk. One of them is to get that plain language style guide fixed up. And the other one is Kate and I were going to work on, well, it's up to me now, I think it was contempt. We were doing an interview for contempt that kind of fell by the wayside because I sort of can't do anything till I get this obligors thing done. So I think that's where I am. You updated the CDC declaration, right?
I did. So someone submitted an issue I should check out, which said maybe I missed one of the dates, 2020, didn't change to 2021. We'll see.
Okay. And
I
did do
that, by the way, or do you
pardon?
PDF? Do you want my PDF with the new date?
I looked at yours. I redid ours. Because I have it as a PDF, a Word doc, and a PDF, a Word doc, and a RTF on Mass Legal Help. So I've done those. But the one thing I wasn't sure about, and it came out, yes, I think somebody sent it to me yesterday, it was on the housing list, was, do we want to put some information about the fact that it was, in the, I don't think we need to put it in the declaration, but maybe in the cover letter that Congress extended. I wasn't sure about the language, so I want to maybe change the cover letters so that we talk about how the moratorium was extended and that Trump signed the bill. Or I don't know if we should put something in the letters about that. So I think you were on the email. I emailed all the housing, not the housing list, but Anne, I thought you were on it. Paul Shack is the one who did the Mass Legal Help declaration.
Oh, I did see your email about that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So whether we want to change that, and also there was something, I looked at the, who's the guy? Ben somebody is doing it in
Kentucky.
Florida, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Where's he doing it?
Kentucky. There's Ben in Kentucky who did it.
In Kentucky, right? And there was some stuff that he had done that I thought was nice, that we might look at incorporating into ours, depending on what's going to happen January. Biden, I guess, right? So nobody knows anything till Biden's in.
That's a good point.
If and when. So yeah, so I guess we shouldn't put too much effort into it because we don't know what's happening with it. So I think it's good enough. I just was wondering about whether we want language about in the cover letters. I think the declaration's fine. It's just in the cover letters.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think cover letter is a good idea.
But I wasn't sure what to put in there, not being a cover letter writer, just to. So that's where I am. So in terms of my stand-up reporting.
All right. Blake, do you have any? I know we talked a little bit informally at the beginning. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you have anything you want to talk about here, you can.
Blake, I think everybody met you or knows you yesterday. Are you Code for America? I'm not sure who you are. I can tell you who I am.
Yeah, I'm a former IT consultant, project manager, in between jobs, just looking to lend my time to
and
either
did you come
coding.
To us through Michelle or Code for America or something, or how do we?
No, I just found you guys organically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's neat.
I'm also doing some volunteering for mutual aid, and possibly tutoring and stuff like that. So.
For who? Say that volunteering for who?
Mamas Somerville.
Mamas.
It's a mutual aid organization in Somerville, Medford.
Oh.
I'm just trying to, aside from look for jobs and work on things, I want to do some volunteering. So.
Yeah. Cool.
So no, Quentin, from yesterday, no updates other than I plan to go through the issue log and sort of make sense of it and see which ones I can actually tackle and then give you a follow-up on those.
I did think of another idea, which I'll mention now because it relates to, it could be my stand-up or it could be related to what volunteer options you might have. And Caroline, you mentioned it too. So we have this spreadsheet of all of these forms that students worked on over the semester rather.
Oh yeah.
They won't progress on their own. They all need work as well before they could really go live. And I actually do think that the experience of going in and trying to make a small fix is a good way to learn the tool, but if you were interested in that side of it, like working on an interview. So there are a number of, and I'll put in the GitHub links here too, which they don't have yet.
Okay.
As I figure them out. But you could just run them and see, and then get to the GitHub. That's might actually even be the best way to do it. Submit an issue and then actually that probably is not really the best way. I take that back.
Okay.
But I'll start putting in some GitHub links. So for some of the fixes, they're going to be small things like change the language. And there's going to be a list of issues that were created by other folks that have run through these forms, because we shared this exact spreadsheet with a list of subject experts.
Yep.
We also, most of the students went through a review process where we talked about it on this channel, and they gave us a demo and we said, hey, here are things that you should fix, knowing that the student wouldn't necessarily have time to fix them, but they would be like to-dos for the future. So that would be like a substantive kind of thing to do. It would be less codey. It would be like substantively doing a little bit of work to progress any one of these interviews a little bit further down the line.
Sure. Would I find those, where would I find that feedback, on GitHub or?
Yeah, it would all be on GitHub. Yeah, so that's a great one. You put a link in there already. So yeah, if you go to issues, you'll see there are 3 open issues. Now, I actually happen to notice this one, it may not cover everything, but if you go through and look at one, hey, this is interesting to me substantively, you should be able to finding those issues and working on them. And what I think what probably you would benefit from is like just someone sitting down and showing you, here's how you get into the DocAssemble playground. Here's how you run an interview. Here's how you make one of those small changes.
Right. So something that's opinionated that I can't obviously make a decision on. How do you want to triage those?
That's a great question. So like there are some that are going to be like really broad. I can't promise all of these issues are going to be like easy to act on. So you could share.
Can we label them or tag them? Like if they need the issue, if it needs a substantive, isn't there a tag or a label that says need help? And so maybe assign the need help ones to a substantive. If you need an SME for it,
I would suggest making a label that was SME as
Specific
opposed to
to
need help,
SME.
because need help is a
Yeah.
tag that people look
Could
for.
be
on
anything, yeah.
GitHub. No, I mean, it is a tag that people search for on GitHub to find issues and help with them when they're trying to find projects to help. Like it's.
Oh, you mean
one that
the
is
people in
used.
the world? I see what you're saying.
People in the world.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I agree with that.
And that and good first issue are both like signals to the world.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Ideally, if we had already had time to triage all these, we would have gone through and tagged a lot of the need help ones and good first issues for stuff that like Blake could get started on really quickly.
Yep.
Which still might be useful.
So we okay to create a new label that like says need SME?
I'm actually doing that right now. If that's
SME
okay.
issue. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That sounds
Yeah, no,
perfect. Yeah.
I was looking up in the background. It doesn't look like there's like a GitHub native way to like share issues between all of the projects in our organization, which we do definitely need an automated way to like
Share
if a new
labels, you
repo-
mean?
Yeah. If there's like a new repo that we add to our organization to like add all of the existing labels to that repo.
Oh, they don't copy across.
I don't think they do.
Yeah,
There's
I think
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. There's
we've
there
run
looks
into
like
this
there's some
before.
like API. There's like some API stuff that we could do and script it. I might like just in my free time look into it because I've been getting into weird website APIs. But yeah, but I was gonna say even then, like if I was gonna say like you should unless someone else has other like ideas I'd suggest sort of like make as many new labels as you feel like necessary, and then at some point we'll probably go through and try and like triage the labels themselves and add things that we think might be useful for maybe other projects that you haven't been looking at, and then at that point we'd be in a good spot to be like, okay, these are our standard labels that we have on our 107 repositories right now. So
Yeah, that sounds
that
right.
makes sense. So yeah.
We don't
Also,
have
I wanted
to edit. You can just go crazy adding as many labels as you think are helpful. We can come back and look at it later. It's a good idea.
I wanted to say hi, Blake. Welcome.
Oh, hi.
I'm sorry, I have a conflicting meeting on the first Tuesday of every month.
David is our fearless leader, our Lit Lab director.
It means I get to sit here and not say much, which is great. It sounds like everything just when we made some discussion of labeling for stuff, and if people checked in on
the perfect project for Blake. And one thought I had was like starting to look at some of those issues that were raised by SMEs for the student forms. And actually, David, when you're ready, I can help you add all of your forms to this list too. That might be.
Yeah, I've got to go through and look at their Trello cards. They weren't as far as long as.
They were further away from being done than my students.
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at yours so much. Maybe I should do that for level setting. I'll do that for level setting.
All right. I did have to like put a preface on it before I shared it to the world. I was like, this isn't necessarily done. We're not expecting to say it's done, but yeah.
Blake, what experience do you have with automated testing and things like Puppeteer, Selenium, Cucumber, that kind of stuff?
I've worked with Selenium, not Cucumber. I've done like, I've written unit testing for code.
Okay.
Whatever language I'm using. So like in school, there's JUnit and Perl. I've done using the testing modules to do automated testing. So I'm familiar with the concepts, but I think of what you mentioned, I just know Selenium.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep that on the back burner. But if it is something you're interested in, I am plenty happy to brainstorm and
Sure.
work and or assign issues. We have plenty of issues on the testing framework GitHub, so I might point you to that too if the other issues seem
Sure.
unapproachable, and see if any of those kind of are more approachable.
Yeah, so now I think we're just trying to like give you a whole menu of choices, and if you want help focusing or
Yeah.
review some of your, what looks good to you, then we can have another.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
Yep.
If you're, I would preference towards whatever you think you have an affinity for. As far as like things that are a priority for us, everything's kind of equally. I mean, it sounds like these projects are all sort of equally.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sure.
let them have like a deadline.
So I'll have to just get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as far as
I say that because
is the best way to let us know you're taking it on.
yeah,
Yep.
I offer that because it is not, you don't have to learn docassemble to do that work.
Right.
So if you don't want to learn a new framework a new platform in order to kind of, I mean, docassemble is interesting. So if you're interested, that's fine too. But
Yeah, I think I could be more immediately useful in the testing in that part.
okay, get in touch.
That makes sense. Okay. How do I do that?
Message me on Slack. I'm
okay.
Michelle, she, her.
Okay.
And we can just say that we could just say right now around 2 or 3, we'll have a meeting of our own.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So Bryce, it could be management or stand-up related.
Both now. Stand-up related. I'm starting some of the data import stuff, at least just sort of playing around with it, seeing what's actually plausible, and trying to also like finish up and brush through a bit on the electronic filing stuff, which there's like a learning seminar from Tyler that I will be at tomorrow. Management wise, I don't think I had anything major. I was mostly, I don't know if I've just sort of not been around for a lot of this, but essentially what is the, do we have a way of like actually doing user user research / I guess, yeah, just like what would be our way of doing user research? I don't know if we have like contacts for it. Like, not, I don't have any specific things in mind, but I'm just realizing I don't know how we do this, and it seems like an important thing to know. Of like, do we have contacts that we would go through to find people, and then how do we set that up? And
Okay, I see Caroline has unmuted.
Sorry. I had a phone call from my sister-in-law in England. I kind of had to take it. What? Sorry, what did I miss?
Oh, I thought you were chiming in because Bryce was asking about user testing and how do we do that, and what are our resources for who we can grab, and then also presumably questions about format and how we do that. And
what was the last thing? Questions about what?
About format and how do we do that. So like you could probably talk to like the user testing you've done around 209A stuff, but we haven't really formalized a large part of it. So
so I don't know how much user testing we're going to be able to do now with COVID, but it's something that we're really interested in doing. And I think one of the things I started to do was go to laundromats, and we finally have the sort of infrastructure at Mass Legal Help to pay people to test, to have gift cards. And this is, you have no idea, I've been fighting for this for at least 10 years. And I broke the rules and done it anyway, gotten in trouble and stuff. But now we're ready to do it. So I think, I don't know how practical it is to try and do it during COVID if we've got bodies. On the other hand, that's something that students like to do. And so we could, if we can get them, if we can put up posters, really a great place to do would be laundromats and Walmart, where we have the working poor essentially, and put, scans in there. We can set that up, but we don't have a formal structure for it.
So just to kind of sum up, stuff we have been doing is we've been giving the forms to advocates to look at, and legal
Or service centers.
or service centers and stuff. And so they can give that kind of feedback. They're not user feedback. Also, another thing we've done every now and then is had someone video, like Zoom tape themselves with the sound on and talking through what they're thinking as they go through the form. That's not a user. It's someone like on the team or something, because we can't exactly ask someone who is filling out a restraining order to talk about their abuse and record that and go through that. Right, like the issues we're dealing with are often sensitive. So,
but we did have some advocates working with users together. So we've gotten feedback from the advocates about their users. You know, it's not us watching. That was again on the 209As, but we're ready to do that again. I think it was because we've changed the forms. We want to push them, try it again.
And this is where I also like to remember that we have multiple user populations. So it's not just, pro se folks. It is, advocates is an actual user population. And attorneys who are trying to assist their clients are actual user population. So for those user types, the SME interactions often are encompassing some amount of user testing.
we also have the feedback available. You can give feedback on the form itself. That's not, I don't think that is a stand-in for user testing, but it gets us some information.
Yeah, and we have had on the 209A, we've had a few. We don't know if they're advocates or if they're users, but we have had some feedback on the 209A in the user feedback.
It tends to get a lot of like, I need help questions more than anything else. But even though we make it really clear that it's not a channel for us to be able to respond.
Well, people try everything.
And that it's a public channel. It's posted on a public place and we delete those. So, I mean, not delete them, but we
hide them.
The one more thing we should mention though is like, actually, that's how Luke got involved in the project, is his dad reached out to us at Bentley, who does visibility testing with court forms. So we've had a number of forms that got tested by his team at Bentley University. So that's,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh, me neither. So Luke, your dad. Oh, that's the Karis.
Oh, you didn't realize that connection.
Oh, you didn't know that connection.
Yeah. It's freaking awesome.
I mean, there's so many Karises in the world. Why would you be related? Oh wow, God! Or maybe it was like, it sort of sounds familiar, but oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Having been the son of a teacher at my old school, I'm just going to say that I think this is probably, yes, I'm glad Luke's getting recognition for him.
For himself.
Nice to be known as, it's Luke's dad, not
right.
Sorry.
Other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're right, because obviously Luke stands on his own. But
yeah, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. It's cool. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's definitely like a good wide array of stuff that I was like aware of. Some things I was aware we had a feedback form, but I wasn't aware that sort of we had, like, I wasn't aware of some of the other things. And I guess the only other thing that I'm not sure about is because at least most, like when I'm trying to fill out the mass like civil docketing sheet, I'm never sure like how much we are, at least like which of these like user populations of more like advocates or more pro se are we trying to target, and which I guess like I guess it sounds like we haven't done a ton of like pro se specific sit down and like not like physically sit down, but like at least like a full session like of user testing with like pro se people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like, at least to me that seems like something that like should be done, but I don't know if I'm just coming in from like a naive point of view.
No, I think you're entirely right.
You. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I think we have, the COVID thing was giving us the biggest problem from the onset, which probably means that we should. I mean, things are going to be different, hopefully, sometime reasonably soon. But maybe we should think about some formal processes. So, you know, if we have like the gift cards, Caroline, maybe there's a way to do Zoom based stuff, but still give people the incentive so we still get real users.
Maybe we could do something, you know, from just what I have control over is think about if people are coming from Mass Legal Help to the, I'm just thinking this out through right now,
Yeah.
right? So I have, you know, but I mean, if there's something that I can do on the Mass Legal Help end where there's a link and we say, if we're linking to some of the Suffolk forms, somewhere along the way, we offer people to test it. We offer them a gift card to test it. You know, we want to be wary, not wary, but, you know, aware of the circumstances people might be in. So they're not feeling either pressured to do it or have any kind of, you know, obviously everybody's in crisis, but different degrees of crisis. But whether $100 would help them, you know?
The user pool I liked you suggesting before was previous, like, so DV survivors or folks that you have dealt with before, who used a different system when they made their bits, but who could then give feedback as if they were. I mean, we have to be very careful about asking them to sort of revisit the situation, but they are, you know,
we did have those 30 people. I don't know what we're gonna. I mean, I guess everybody's so busy. People say, yeah, we'll help. And the only way to actually get that help is to just nag them every week and say, you know, you said you were going to do this.
Well, the other thing is inducements, right? So, you know, the gift cards that's another way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Another thing we could think about is like having a pop-up form on every
pop-up.
Says not a pop-up, but like an interstitial form that says, hey, do you want to participate in research about this? And then we can connect to people. I mean, that
you mean on the Suffolk forms?
Yeah. It would only work for people were already using the form, but basically opt in to be contacted about research questions.
Yeah.
If we could put on there, I mean, that we might ask for that they could do research on other forms other than this one, so that like they know they don't have to go through this same form again necessarily. They might be doing it on something else. Or
that's a good point. Yeah. So I don't know what people think about that idea, but yeah, we could definitely have it just be a way to build a panel basically of people who are willing to do that.
Does it, I'm trying to think about trying to have people use different forms. The thing I'm afraid about is that, like, we get it, like, is either someone is interested in using the form, but it's because it's directly relevant to them, and they're more of like, I just want to get this done.
That's a good point, Bryce, because people oftentimes, that's right, they really can't test a form that they are not experiencing the issue on.
And then so it's like they're either are experiencing the issue and they're like more stressed about it and might not want to test, or they aren't experiencing the issue where we still might get some useful feedback, but it's not like they're not going to be in the same headset of someone who's going through that at the moment. I don't know. We might
be able to find a person who has gone through, like with the DV idea, right, with the 209A, we might be able to find someone who has gone through an eviction, who has gone through like one of these processes before. A lot of times, a lot of these things tend to be related from what I understand. I mean, like not related, but it's the same sphere of like experience and context. Or they might know someone, right? Like just a way, I would see this more as of a way of building a network, like starting to build a network of people we can reach out to and user test with, and it might just be that they know someone.
We should also revisit the Bentley connection as well, because there were discussions about involving folks at different times. It's just the timing is the hard part.
The thing I would be worried about is getting people who are looking for legal help.
Right. I mean, the other thing to go back about that is, you know, when we say we've got various audiences, some are advocates, some are users, depending on what advocate pool you're talking about, many advocates are previous users, are survivors of whatever their legal issue was. So a lot of community advocates, not lawyers, well, I mean, some lawyers, but a lot of community advocates are very people we target anyway, who are helping their neighbors and other people in the community. So sometimes advocates are our users.
And then I think it's also worth noting, like, we learned a lot from the first like 3 or 4 forums we had Bentley test, and a lot of it's repeated things about our platform and like overall design choices, right? Like, so it's not as specific to each form. I suspect that'll happen as well. So that's something.
And
For each of
oh, for some reason, no. Okay, weird. Zoom was telling me I was playing music, which is, I think it was just picking up on Abigail singing in the background. I just wanted to say that I had a conversation with Nicole Braddock the other day, and she had looked at the site and goes, "Oh, it's gotten a little crowded since we did the original design bit." And I said, "Are you volunteering?" And she said, yes, they would volunteer some design capacity, just not in the next little bit. They're at capacity right now, but she was thinking maybe in February or something, people might clear up. So I had a very brief discussion with her about the sort of scope of what that could look like. So our static pages, the overall page layout, and also the forms. So if we have specific questions or ideas, we can start formulating those too, and we'll likely have access to some resources.
Sounds like we need a document.
Well, we have a bunch of documents, but yes. Oh, and then another thing is Quentin, Bryce and I are going to talk with a person who's doing this sort of work in California, and who's actually,
Sid.
you might, yeah, Sid, you probably know Sid Harrell. You might know Michelle from Code for America.
Possibly. I mean, that sounds familiar. I'm
Yeah.
better with faces than with names, but
Yeah, she's one of the folks out on the West Coast. And she does a lot of design stuff as well. So we're going to try a mind meld. That wasn't meant to be a conversation killer, guys.
I've got an update.
Star Trek background, which I haven't seen in.
Oh, there's Maeve.
Dave, she's got an update.
Hi, guys. Well, okay, so there's 2 updates. The first is that Spencer is back on the project. He said that end of last year was really crazy for him. He's up in Colorado, I think. So he was wondering if he should run his code through the new wizard because he was having some problems with labels and stuff. So I said that I would sit in on a call with him and we can try and figure it out. But I'm wondering if Michelle, you'd be interested in jumping on that as well.
I'd love it.
I just think that the new, the code, he hasn't looked at the code for a while. He did substantial work on it. But I think that we can take the learnings that he had on the previous code and kind of just put it into the new generated, the code generated with the new wizard.
Yeah.
Or the latest
Oh.
iteration of the wizard.
That's
Okay, so Michelle,
amazing.
I've spoken to him a little bit and I've just said like, what's his availability? So I'll loop you in on that call. And I'll just message the 2 of you now together and we can try and find something that works for the both of us, or 3 of us.
Sounds great.
And then the other thing is that Lance and I, so obviously we got our MVP. So now the thing is, there was some stuff that we wanted to do on the civil action cover sheet that was more for like our learning curve as opposed to, because of the fact that it's not going to be the most used form on the website. I'm wondering whether we should rather take on a new form or whether we should actually just apply our minds and try and get through those things. One of the things was that object where we had all the different, it was really like something like a big learning curve for both of us.
That's a great
Do you have
question.
a preference of what you'd
We're just
rather
talking-
do, Maeve?
Yeah, that's what
I would love to learn the object. I'd love to like just try the object.
That's what I was thinking you would make sense, really, because
It also means that we can.
you've put so much into this. Here I am just jumping in, but I think you put so much into the project that's something that you could get out of it and it would be valuable to you in so many different ways. That would be my vote, is for you to keep going with that form.
Okay, and then also the thing that I was thinking is that if we have something similar in another form that comes up, then we've got, we've kind of established how to do it on our
Mhm.
one. So we just bear that in mind. Okay, perfect. Then I'll reach out to Lance and we can get cracking on that. I think we probably will definitely need help. Lance
The
is-
other advantage about that, Maeve, also is when you guys go through it and learn it, you're so good at sort of documenting and talking about it that you'll also then have an example for other people if they also come across something. I mean, we'll have a working template, interview that does everything you want to do, and you will, people can go to it. So I think the more models of more complex interviews there are is
Yeah.
also helpful to people.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. Okay, that sounds good. I'm sure Lance will be on the same page because I know that was something he wanted to tackle as well. So those are the two things that I'll do: reach out to Spencer and Michelle, and then also reach out to Lance, and then we'll maybe just have a call between Lance and I, and then inevitably reach out for help sooner than later. It's hard, guys.
Sooner rather than later. Okay.
20 minutes.
Are
Okay,
we
perfect. That's
gonna,
all.
sorry, Maeve, are you finished? Or?
That's it. Yeah.
Are we gonna is it gonna be, how are we gonna move to this Teams thing? And we're doing that this month,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's that story?
So we're still figuring it out exactly, but it looks like what'll happen is we can port over most of the content of the public channels.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just set up parallel channels with the different names of the things over in Teams. So I think
And do we have to have like a Microsoft ID or something?
yeah, you'll have to associate. It'll be easiest if you associate whatever you used for Slack with Teams. I'm still trying to figure out what the mapping is going to be if you don't have the same or how that works.
Okay.
But
We can
and then
invite
are
external folks though, so you don't have to already be part of the Suffolk organization. In other words,
yeah, you can associate any email account with
the A to J workplace, right? That's what you want.
yeah, whatever you used to the H. Because I think that on the back end, Slack's going to associate the export will associate it with whatever your email is, and so if you use the same email for your account, for your Microsoft account. But if you don't want to do that or you can't do that, we can find something around there. It's just it's not going to be seamless, right? In either case, it's not going to be seamless. But yeah, so I guess the one question that we should do is whether or not we need to replicate all the channels that we have, or whether or not there are all the public channels that we have, or whether or not there are some that don't have the activity that warrant replicating them.
I think we have one we might not need.
But it was definitely going to do the main channel again. It was going to do 209A channel, the coding questions channel, the admin channel. All of that won't be replicated because we're only bringing over the content from the public channels. This is again why we're doing it, right? It's like you're limited in the free tier stuff, what stuff you can do.
Well, we have the alternate service, but I don't think that was. There's like one message from Valerie and possibly in there. So I think if we can just get, I mean, there's only like 6 messages in alternate assembly line alternative service. That is one we can probably just get the information out of and not replicate it as a channel. And then we have the motion to vacate debt, which again, I think does not, if we can pull the information out and save it, again, that's not didn't really need to be its own channel.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of those. So we'll just want to think about those before we go. But yeah, the only 2 private channels are the admin and the PM's channels. So the majority of stuff should come over.
I think the PM's channel probably doesn't have anything in it now, considering time has passed. Or are you saying you're pulling it from the data that you?
I'm just saying that the only channels that are private that we will not be able to bring over are those 2.
You mean DM, like messages between people? That's what you're talking about, right?
Well, we won't bring those over either, but there was a private
during the beginning of the project. There was
project manager. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it was because it was pre-admin channel.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
So it was the kind of precursor to the admin channel, and then the admin channel looped a broader group of people in, and we just ended up going over to that.
But yes, so in answer to your question, the answer is what will probably happen is Quentin, Bryce, and I will start using it at some point, one channel, and see how it works and play around with it a little. And then we'll slowly say, hey, let's move the conversation over there. And we'll probably, keep saying, hey, move over there for a while. And we're not going to close down. We're not going to shutter entirely the Slack channels. We just want to move our work over there. So they'll still be available, but since it's the free tier, they'll eventually, sort of evaporate.
I guess the thing to remember too is that I think have you got links to the Slack channel on various?
Yeah,
stuff
we'll
web
change
pages.
all of those over, and then
I mean, I would forget that. That's all. The reason I'm saying is just I would forget that. I do all this other
Yeah.
stuff and then I forget something where the public sees where to go. So
we'll change all that over. The other nice thing is since we're moving over to the university's paid account, we'll also be able to use, we'll be able to store documents and stuff there as part of Office 365.
Can you
we
have
do-
can you
perfect.
have like a forwarding message on the Slack channel saying?
Yeah, we'll just say
Go
like,
to-
hey, we've moved over. And I'll probably even choose a cool little GIF or something.
So
you look
so
over
I've got
there.
one more question. I know it's 1 o'clock now. What about next week? Are you guys all
Oh
going?
yeah,
I
we're
mean,
at LSC. That is a very good
right.
point.
So we're not gonna meet next week because we're gonna
Well,
be.
not on Tuesday. There'll still be the Friday meeting.
Do we
Yeah,
not have LSC on
Tuesday,
Friday?
Wednesday.
Is it only Tuesday through Thursday?
Wednesday, Thursday this year, yeah.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
I
after
missed.
as well.
This is
So-
a conference that a bunch of legal aid folks go to, and so we're
You've
gonna.
been there.
Michelle, yeah,
ITC. It used to be called
TIG.
TIG.
I missed
Yeah,
that going on, so I don't know if you can still register, but
You might. I
Probably
would
could.
imagine you could if it's
Yeah, you
virtual,
probably
right?
can. A lot of
They
the
can't get filled up now.
I registered last month, and all like the dates that I saw were like, oh, you need to do this thing before like December 1st, and I like did it all after that. You could still probably do it.
okay.
Yeah, they just
I-
sent out an email today, I think, for something. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bryce just dropped a chat link in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Mhm.
Thanks, Bryce.
You should try to
And
find
I'll
a way
try
not to
and-
pay full price though.
It's like
Huh.
way more tailored this year, which is
How
part
am
of
I not going to pay full price? I don't know. I also have to see if it's in the budget. Our budget
Yeah.
has tightened up a bit this year.
Well, so for
Everyone's still-
students and fellows, it's like $25, but like I don't know
Really?
what
That's nice.
Everything's nice for students, guys. You only realize this when you leave school. Then you're like, oh, there's so much stuff for students that was either free or really affordable. What was I doing when I was studying? Studying.
Yeah. So I don't know if I can find something. I don't know if I can find something within my price range. It would be really awesome to come and see some of the stuff that's going on.
I think they're really. I mean, I'm curious to see what they're going to do about. I need to read through all the emails we've gotten, but I'm really curious to see how they're going to do like community building stuff. Like how will you have to run it,
Yeah,
bump
I've
into
seen
people?
some of it.
You mean like the
They're supposed
affinity
to have,
groups
like,
and stuff?
network-
Yeah.
They have like weird like networking 30-minute sessions between like you can take a break or you can like network and you have to use the app. I don't really understand the whole workflow yet. But
Yeah, gonna have to read some emails.
You have to sign up for your Hoover account.
Yeah, that just came today, right? I just saw that.
I guess I have stuff to work on this week.
All right.
I have two other group items to bring up.
Okay.
Possible management things. One, I don't think Luke got to talk. He weren't here
Oh.
before, so Luke and I need to do a review with an SME. So of the 209A motion to modify, so we need to ping Kate, I think. And the other thing is I haven't seen her for a bit, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think she was on
she was on
vacation,
holiday,
but then
yeah.
she was doing.
Okay.
She was reviewing interviews last week, so I don't know where she must be busy. Otherwise, she would have been here today.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is, in between semesters, if it might be worth getting together a group of people to work on the documentation, to have a session to just identify what needs to be improved in, for example, the PDF docx creation documentation and stuff like that, and really strengthen those documents.
It's a great idea. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
I like that.
So that should go on
So
a list somewhere.
Yeah, and we've got till if the idea is in anticipation of like Quentin's new students and stuff, and we have until the 25th of January before the semester starts.
Ooh.
Although, like, I won't be making
Yeah.
them assemble the first.
Jump
day.
right in.
And it's not till Wednesday, first class. So it's another.
Oh, very good.
Okay. I'm going to stop
Yeah, like
recording.
2 more days.
All right.
Okay.